Welcome to our webinar on automating your drafting using feature codes from field to finish using Trimble Access, Trimble Business Center, and Autodesk Civil 3D. Our main objective of this webinar is to show you how you can seamlessly utilize feature codes in Trimble Access, Trimble Business Center, and Autodesk Civil 3D. This will help you to automate drafting, data capture, and creating contour maps. We will create a compatible feature code library and symbol line work database. This will mean that your symbols and line work will draw the same in Autodesk Civil 3D and Trimble Business Center. We will transfer data between Trimble Business Center, Autodesk Civil 3D, and Trimble Access. We'll automate drafting using feature codes in Trimble Business Center, Autodesk Civil 3D. We'll demonstrate using measure codes in Trimble Access to automate data capture. In Trimble Business Center, we will edit feature code library. This will mean that it will be the same as the line and symbol database that comes from Civil 3D. We'll import line work and symbols from our drawing file. Transferring feature code libraries to Trimble Access. Processing feature codes to automatically generate line work and symbols, exporting data to Autodesk Civil 3D. In Trimble Access, we will demonstrate measure codes to automate field pickup with feature codes. In Autodesk Civil 3D, we'll edit point and line databases, importing data from Trimble Business Center, processing point and line work.
First step is to create a feature code library which is compatible with the point and line database in Civil 3D. This can be done either by editing the feature code library in Trimble Business Center or by editing the point and line database in Civil 3D. We have done some of this for you and attached an FXL file, feature code library, and the corresponding Civil 3D line and point database. To edit the feature code library, we need to access the Feature Definition Manager. This is available as a standalone utility under all programs, Trimble Office, Utilities, Feature Definition Manager. Or it can be accessed under Trimble Business Center under Tools, Feature Definition Manager. This one we're going to actually use a feature code library that's already available and save it as a different name so that we can use it later. So we made a copy of it and we did straight away a save as. Here you can see we're looking at the line control codes, and we have end line, end non, tangent arc, end tangent arc, and these make us tell the software how to draw the line. Now we're going to create a new line control code which is going to be BC. So it's going to be a new line control code and we're going to create it as a BC code. This is because this is how Civil CAD starts its begin curves, whereas in Trimble Business Center we say start tangent arc. So we've got to have these compatible and make them the same as each other. We need to choose what it does. So here we say it starts a non-tangential arc. This will be put on after the code, usually with a space that follows, and here it's saying that the BC code actually exists. So we'll rename it for something different for now and we'll find where the BC code is. So let's call it BEC and we'll come back to it and change it back to there. Here you can see these are the earth and the earth group, landscape group, and the roads group. Oh, and here look, we can see there's a backup curve. For this exercise we'll delete the backup curve. Now we'll go back to our begin curve and we'll change it to BC. There's no save option here. If we just move out of the screen, it will automatically save it. So we go down and go down to close line and back up. Basically, you can see it's already saved. Now let's have a look at a couple of these options. We're going to create a line code under roads. Right away didn't exist in this feature code library, so we're going to create it because it's in our Civil 3D database. So we're just going to call it right away, and the code is going to be the same right away. Now we haven't loaded any symbols for this line work, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and load the symbols from a drawing file that's come from Civil 3D. If we right mouse click under the lines and symbols and go new line, and then we go down to the style area, right at the bottom of the list there is a import line work, and we're going to browse for the drawing file that came from the Civil 3D with all their symbols and line work in it. Now we need to choose that we want a AutoCAD drawing file, and there's our file there, symbols, survey symbols 2010, and we'll import all these by pressing the double arrow, and you can see that they're here in capitals. And these are all the line symbols, and we're going to select the phantom line symbol because this is how it's set up in Civil 3D. And here it's telling us we forgot to put the name, so we'll put in the name of the line type here, which is phantom. Okay, let's also create a point symbol. Now one of the point symbols that we didn't have in this feature code library that was in the Civil 3D was water shutoff. So we're going to create a new point symbol under utilities. And we're going to call this water shutoff. And we're going to give it the code WSO. Again, we need the symbols for this code. Notice that we're not including in the surface. A water shutoff valve wouldn't be a good point to include in the surface. Now here we're going to go right down to the bottom again and find the import symbols. Go browse for our file. We're going to be using the same file that we used last time, which was that symbols file, which is the drawing file from the Civil 3D. This is a drawing file that has the symbols and the line work in it. We're selecting the file type, which is AutoCAD file drawing, and here's our symbols file. We're going to add all the symbols so we've got them to use to update any other points we need to be updating. And here's our water shutoff. Oops, and I needed to select it. And here's it's telling us we haven't put in the name with the little red triangle at the side. And we don't need to put a description. Our water shutoff is pretty clear what it is. Okay, and there's a symbol down here. This bottom part is the symbols. We can actually edit those symbols if we wish and draw them or edit them inside Trimble Business Centre if we wanted to. Now in this feature code library that when we've supplied this for you, you can actually take a lot of this out if you wanted to, but we've left it in because obviously it's a lot easier to edit rather than actually to rewrite. So a lot of this is in here for you. Next, I'd like to talk about using the feature codes as break lines or grade breaks. Here we've got a toe of ditch. Obviously this should be part of included in a surface, and you can see we've got the checkbox included in the surface. If we put it with the code GB is a grade break, so it's seen as a change in grade and or a break line. In Civil 3D they have this as a part of the layer or part of the code, whereas we add the code GB to be able to show it as a break line or a code break. Here you can see that it's included in the surface, and we've added that code GB, so that will be automatically have the grade break added to it. Okay, next we're going to export it to our data collector. First of all, we save it, and then we go File, Export. Remember we used a save as earlier, so we can just use a save this time. And we go File, Export. Here you can see we got the choice of export to file or upload to a device. We check the radio button upload device. Because our data collector is already plugged in, it recognizes it, and we go OK. And that is all uploaded. If you had multiple data collectors, one way would be you could either do this plugged into the different data collectors, or you could use the Explorer File Manager, and that's what we'll show next. So we go into File Explorer. We'll find that here we have our feature code libraries. You can see that I have got 3 here at the moment, and we can do Control Copy, which is Control C, or we can drop and drag, and here's our data collector here. We're looking for the Trimble Data System directory, and here you can see in the system files all our common files that we use, and we've got 4 here already, and we can go Control V for paste, or we drop it into this area. You can see I've already got one here, and that's why it's given me the warning. And next we're going to look at measuring codes, and here I've got 5 codes I've set up to make for measure codes. I've got edge of pavement, road centre line, edge of pavement 1 because it's on the opposite side of the road, top of curve, and sidewalk. And what I'm going to do is set this up as a zigzag cross section to pick up, and we're going to automate this so that basically I can just press the measure key to measure the information. When we go about this, you can set up to 9 of these boxes for measure codes. You can either select them from the screen, or you can select an order that they can go in. As we go along and collect this, and we'll be quickly collecting some points and to measure this. So here we've selected the EP code, and we need to add the code BC because these are going to be on curve, so it's the beginning of curve. On the first one we need to do the BC, and then we press measure, and you can see it's measuring. And then we press store. It's got a surface type of asphalt, so we add that surface type. We've got the road centre line. We're going to do add the BC so that it's on a curve as well, and we press store. We're going to measure the EP1. We're going to add the BC for the begin curve, and remember this is on our first one of each one. Okay, and then we're going to press enter. Now we're going to measure the sidewalk, and we're going to go the space BC. Now remember I've set this up as zigzag under the options, and so therefore the next one will be sidewalk again. The surface here is concrete. You can see it's already had this, the sidewalk is already highlighted, so I just go measure or the enter button on your data collector keyboard, and we will go measure sidewalk because it's a zigzag, and measure. Target's locked. It's obviously lost the target for a short period. And now we're measuring it. Surface type is concrete. And I've got the attributes to show and confirm, so you can actually switch that off and not see that screen if they were all the same once you've set it up. This is top of curve, and here we go, store. Now it's edge of pavement 1. We don't need the BC any longer because of course we're on the curve at the moment. And store. Now the road line, and you can see how it's zigzagging across. And we measuring this road centre line. Standard deviation at the bottom. We can see the information we store. Now we're up to the edge of pavement. Measure. And store. And this has got a surface type with it. And you can see it went back onto the EP. And when I clicked on the EP, you can change this. Obviously, my poleman's moved. The error went up a little bit high, and it gave me a warning. And here I've decided to abandon the measurement. You have the choice of whether you abandon it or you want to keep it. So here we're going to store that one again, doing the measure. Of course now we're going to go back because it's a zigzag and we've moved up to the next cross section. A road centre line. And measure that. The edge of pavement 1. Now you can imagine you just pressing, you could either press this measure button on the keyboard, on the screen, or you could use the enter key. This is top of curve. You see I can select it off the screen as well if I wanted to change the order or I wanted to miss one. And here what we're going to do is we're going to put in, it was not a top of curve, it was a water shut-off valve. So we're entering a point, we're picking up a point in the middle of our cross section. So there's fully selectability of how you use this. And this one is going to be a hydrant. And then I remembered, no, it's not a hydrant, it's actually here, it is a fire hydrant. So it is a FH is the feature code. And as you see, when I'm typing in the first letter, it's actually calling it up as we go along. Under the options we can change how we utilize this. As I said, you can turn off that attributes if you wish. Now we'll look at the map screen. And as you can see, there's our curves that we've been collecting. and that is our observation point, our back sight. And you can see all those cross sections we've been collecting. These are actually inside, so they don't worry if the lines aren't quite parallel. Obviously what's happened here is that we've just did a simulation of what it would be like. And as you can see that we haven't got our curves quite in the right place, and they haven't been able to fit, and I'll show you that when we go to the processing. If we put an end curve after 3, we would have got the 3 points to fit. Because there's 5 points on each of these cross sections, they don't actually fit, and they've done the best fit they can. But we'll put some end curves on those and show you the straights in the Trimble Business Centre. So here in Trimble Business Centre, we're going to download our data. Because the data collector is plugged in, it automatically recognises it and opens up the devices. Here our coordinate system is different to the one on the data collector, so it's asked us which one to use. Here we're going to just switch off those vectors to make it a little bit clearer, so I'm going to switch off the total station lines, and here we can just see the points. Next we're going to process the feature codes. So here's our feature codes, but first of all I'm going to add endpoint on these. So here I've added EC for the end of a curve, so that we've only got 3 on the curve. Because we made this data up, the 5 won't fit on a curve, it won't be a true curve. So here we only want to have 3. And we're going to process the feature code job. So we're processing the source of the data, and now you can see there's a curve on the first 3 points, and then there's a straight. You can see the symbols of the water shutoff valve and the fire hydrant. You can see different colours of the line work as selected. Now what we're going to do is select all our points so that we can output them to export them to a file, which is going to be a CSV file, and you can create these. We're going to make a copy of a point easting, northing, elevation and code. Make a copy, and then we name that copy. So we're going to name it Civil, if I can get the correct letters in, Civil 3D CSV. It's a CSV file. CSV file can be opened into Explorer. You just need to click on it. We're not going to include the header. It's a common delimited file, and here we're actually going to add a little bit of a description, and we're going to say it's for Civil 3D. It's an ASCII file. We don't want the Unicode, we want ASCII, and we go next. And then we're going to add, we're just going to add one thing. We're going to add a description. We just double click on it and add it. Now because we've got all our points highlighted, we can export it. We choose the one that we wish to have. And the point one we had is that Civil 3D CSV file. Now you can see 32 points are selected. There's lots of options for selecting your files. Invert selection selects anything that's not selected already. If we can use the control key to select individual points and add them to them, we can draw a box on the plan view. We can select from the left hand Explorer bar. So there's plenty of ways to select our data. That's drawing the box, and you can see I missed a 178, so I'm going to draw a bigger box and try and pick them up. Still didn't get the 187, so I'm just going to click on that with the control button and add that to my grouping. It's now 31 because I haven't included my control point, my 1000 point. And we're going to export. I've already done this, so that's why it's giving me this warning. And now it's exported already for Civil 3D. Now we're going to have a look at it in the File Manager. I'm going to pull up the file that we've just created. And here it is here, and this is opened in Excel when I clicked on it. You can see the file that it is created. We haven't got any descriptions here, but if we had descriptions it would have added. Now that concludes this part. I'm going to pass it on to Brian, and he's going to show you the Civil 3D component of the processing.
Thanks, Allison. Now, prior to bringing survey data into Civil 3D, we need to set up Civil 3D so it brings in that data correctly. Just like in Trimble Business Center, you need to go in and make sure everything's set up correctly. In Civil 3D, we have to do the same thing. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new drawing using a template. This template has already been set up to process everything correctly. So I'm going to create a brand new blank drawing here, and I'm going to use this template. This is my survey template. This is the template set up for my survey process. Now, what set this template up differently than a regular Civil 3D drawing? Well, I've gone in and I made sure some things are set here. I've made sure that we have the appropriate point styles. So when I bring in the fire hydrant that was surveyed, it's going to display the way I want it to display. Likewise, I've also set up a description key set here. So let me go ahead and edit these keys so we can see what's going on. So when I bring this in, and when I bring the point file in, and it has a point with a description that starts with FH, well, that's a fire hydrant. So I want the style assigned to the point to be a hydrant style. I want it to look like a hydrant. And I also don't want it to be labeled in the drawing as FH because, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to perhaps some of the engineers. I want it to be labeled as hydrant. Just like I want TC to be labeled as curb. And I want RCL to be labeled as road centerline. I'm also going to take the points that were surveyed here and put them on the correct layers. So that's what the description key set does. Now, I've also set up some other styles in this drawing. I've set up some survey figures. Now, when you bring survey data into Civil 3D and you have it process the line work, it's going to create what's known as survey figures. And so you need to have the appropriate figures set up in your drawing. And so what I've done is I've created a survey figure called by block. Yes, you can go through and create a different figure style for every single different type of figure that you're ever going to bring in, but in my opinion, that's kind of overkill. All I need is a by block style. And let me show you what's involved with this by block style. Basically, all this by block style does is it displays the lines. I don't need to see the markers. I just want to see the lines. And I've got everything set to by block. If you do this in a style, it behaves just like a line. If I put the figure on a red layer, it's red. If I put it on a blue layer, it's blue. If I put it on a layer that has a line type of center line, it's using that line type. So this is the only style I'm going to use during this whole process. These other styles came from some other template that, well, I'm frankly not using. So those are the settings that I've set up in this drawing. Now, I've also had to set up some stuff for the survey side of things. So if I come over here to the Survey tab in Civil 3D, you can see I have figure prefix databases and line work code sets. So let's talk about the figure prefix database first. So when the survey database is creating this line work, well, how do I want the line work to look? So I'm going to manage this. So anytime I have points, figures that begin with EP, if you notice there's no asterisk here, I don't need this. This is a figure prefix database. So anytime I have EP, edge of pavement, I want it to be a break line. I don't want it to be a parcel segment. I want it to go on this specific layer, and I want it to have this specific style. If you notice, they're all set to by block. So all these figures are going to be displayed according to the layers that they're on. By marking them as break lines, I can then simply go to my figures and say, hey, I want to add all of my figures that are break lines to my surface. So it makes it very simple to add things to surfaces later. The other thing that we have set up is a line work code set. The line work code set basically says, okay, as I'm coding these points out in the field, how am I going to tell Civil 3D that I want it to begin a line or begin a curve or end a curve or something along those lines? So let me go ahead and edit this code set here. And this is just the one that comes with Civil 3D. This is the standard. I didn't make any changes to this one. And this is what Allison set her system up to match. Now, it was very nice of her to do this for me, but I could have also changed this to match the way the surveyor works. So in my case, you can see when I want to begin a curve, it's BC. If the surveyor uses something else for begin curves, maybe a PT, point of tangency, I can simply come in here and change that to PT for point of tangency or whatever other code it is. I'm going to leave this at BC for now. But these are the codes that are going to create the lines work for me. So that's the setup that I had to do. Now I am going to import the survey data, and I do that through the survey database. So as you can see right now, I don't have any survey databases for this particular installation of Civil 3D. I'm going to use this command up here on the ribbon, import survey data. This is kind of a really cool walk you through process that allows you to import this data. So I'm going to import the survey data. It's going to ask me for the survey database. As you can see, I don't have any survey databases here, so I'm going to create a new survey database. All right, I'm going to give it a name. This is going to be my Field to Finish Demo Database. You'd give this your project name, something along those lines, right? Now, whenever you create a database, a survey database, you always want to come over here and double check your settings. Primarily, your units. What coordinate system are you working in? So if you're in a known coordinate system, you can simply assign that there. So the surveyor that went out and shot these points was just doing it in ground, but my drawing is in feet, they surveyed in meters. So I need to make sure I set the appropriate distance. Now, even if you both surveyed in feet, you still really need to make sure you come in here and double check this. Because if I leave this set to international foot, there's also the option US survey foot. So you need to make sure that you are coordinated with everybody, that you're all working in the same foot. But in this case, the surveyor worked in meters, my drawing's in feet, so as I bring the data into my drawing, it's going to convert it from meters to feet for me. Just like it would if they surveyed in NAD 27, as I bring it into my drawing, I can have it convert to NAD 83 for me. All right, my next option here is the data source. There's several different data sources, but in this case, the surveyor gave me a point file. That's what I'm going to use. So I choose point file, and then I browse to and I add in the point file. All right, so which point file do I want to use? I want to use this field to finish point file. It's just a CSV file. I'll go ahead and open this up. And now it's going to ask me, okay, what format is this point file in? Is it an easting northing elevation? Is it a northing easting elevation, comma delimited? This particular one is a point easting northing elevation description, comma delimited. And one of the really nice things here is it's actually showing me a preview of how the points are going to be brought into the drawing. Now I want you to notice something here. The easting, about 1.7 million. The northing, about 1 million. The point elevation, about 1800. These are all in meters. So as I bring these into the survey database, it's going to keep these same numbers in the database. But because my drawing is in feet, when I bring those into the drawing, it's going to convert them from meters into feet for me. I'll choose next. It's going to ask me to specify a network. This is important if you're bringing in a fieldbook file. I'm not bringing in a fieldbook file, so I'm simply going to ignore the network option here. And then I get my import options. So these are where you need to check. So I created this CAD1 demo figure prefix database for this particular project, so I need to make sure I set that here. Likewise, my line work code set. If I created a specific code set for this project or this survey or something along those lines, I need to make sure I set it here. Right? I've got some other options as I'm creating these points. Do you want it to automatically insert the survey points into the drawing? So what I'm actually doing is I'm taking these points and I'm importing them into the survey database. As I'm bringing them into the database, do I also want to insert them into the drawing? Likewise, the figures, the line work, do I want to bring that in as well? I have everything set up here the way I want it. I finish it. And it brings the information in. And it says, hey, you've got some issues here. Some things didn't quite work. So let me show you what that was. As you can see, all my TC shots got converted to curb shots. All right, so if I grab this point and I take a look at it, I'm going to edit the point. You can see the raw description here is TC, and it converted it to the full description, curb. And that's why it says curb there. But if I come over here and I look at this first point on this figure, it didn't work. Why? Well, my description keys are case sensitive. So are my figures. This is not the same thing as a capital TC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the file and fix this. Another issue I have is over here. Same type of thing. I have a water shutoff, a gate valve. As you can see, it didn't match. It's not being displayed as gate valve. It's being displayed as a red X. I don't want it to be displayed as red X. I want it to be displayed as a gate valve. Couple of problems here. The first problem is, well, it's lowercase. The second problem is, I didn't have WSO in my description key set. So let me go ahead and add that to the description key set so we can see how this is done. So I'll go to my settings tab, point, description key sets. I'm going to edit these keys. I want to add a new key, so I'll just right click on any of these keys and select new. So what do you want the code to be? What is coded out there in the field that you want to match here? So anything that starts with a WSO, asterisk. Asterisk is a wildcard. So anything that starts with these three letters will be used. I want to then assign it a style. So I toggle on the option for style, and I pick in the box and I can choose a style. So I want the WSO, a water shutoff, to use the water shutoff style. I can assign a label. I'm just going to use whatever is set up as the default. And then the format. I don't want it to be labeled as WSO. Oh, I forgot. Must have gone into my little pointing device and it got rid of the number there. I don't want this to say WSO. I want it to instead to say water valve. So I'll just type in water valve or water shutoff or whatever you want it to say. Just like here, this pave edge. What was it coded as? Well, it was coded as EP, but the format says displayed as a pave edge. I'm going to toggle on the layer because I do want this point to go onto a specific layer, so I'll choose my layer, and I'm going to choose the layer V-node water. Excellent. So this is all set up now. So I've fixed the description key set. Now let's go fix the point file. So which file did I bring in? Well, I brought this file in 2 weeks ago. I don't remember where that file is stored, but each time you bring files into the survey database, it creates an import event. So let me right-click on the import event and go to its properties. So in the properties, it's showing me exactly where that file is. Now I'm going to You could hit this button here and open it, but that's going to open it up in a text editor, and sometimes that's a little difficult to edit. This is a CSV file. I want to open it up in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to right click on the cell and copy value to clipboard. I am then going to open up my Windows Explorer and simply paste this in the path. And what you'll see is it then goes and opens up that file. And here are the points that we're having issues with. TC, not capitalized. Scroll down a bit here. WSO, also not capitalized. Now this point file might have thousands and thousands of points in them. Half of them uppercase, half of them lowercase. I want to use the tools within Excel to fix this. So I'm just going to come over here to this cell to the right, and I'm going to put an equation. I want this to be equal to the command upper, that cell. So this upper command says make whatever that is uppercase. And I'm simply going to use the copy tool within Excel to copy it straight down. So as you can see, TC lowercase becomes TC uppercase. And I'll continue to copy this on down until I get down to the entire list. Water shut off, lowercase, water shut off, uppercase. And then I'll just copy all of these cells and I'll paste them. Well, I'll use a paste special over the original data. And I'm simply going to paste the values. I don't want the formulas, I just want the value. And then I can go get rid of the original, or the formula rather. I'll go ahead and close this and save it. I'm just going to overwrite the original one. Now I've made a change to the point file. All I have to do is re-import the points. So I right-click on the import event and choose re-import. I'm going to use the exact same settings, exact same file. All right, these points are already in the drawing, so it's trying to bring them in again. So I'm going to go ahead and overwrite them all. And there's my mistake earlier for the curb. And there's my water shut off. Now, as I mentioned before, the surveyor served this in metric. This particular drawing is not metric, it's in feet. So if I go into my drawing settings here, you'll see the units are set to feet. So when I go edit one of these points, you'll notice the northings and the eastings are about 3 times what they were before, as well as the elevation, because they were surveyed in meters. This particular drawing is in feet, and went ahead and converted the data for me. So to sum things up, you need to set the drawing up, you need to set up your description key sets, you need to set up your styles. You also need to set the database up. You need to have your line work code set up, and you need to have your figure prefix database set up, which is actually something I didn't talk about. Your figure prefix database, no, I did talk about it. And that's all you have to do to bring in this data to Civil 3D.